live. We got a groovy kind of love. Groovy kind of. We got a groovy. Hey! Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo. More than just astrology, actually. We're talking about energy, consciousness, planets, people, patterns, all the words that start with P. Party, pleasure, I don't know, what else? Hope you're doing great today. We're going to be talking about planets and messages from beyond. That's what we're chatting about today. Please let me know that you're here. And I'm putting on my watch, my astrology watch, because astrology simply tells you what time it is. That's all it does. Hooray. Because the planets don't do anything to you. We live in a cooperation with the cosmos. So when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that in the heavens. Mirror, mirror on the cosmic wall. I keep saying I'm going to oil can that thing. Okay, so rush of a day. It's Marlene. It's Kimberly. Hi. It's whoever else wants to say hello. Tell me, and if you tell me your birthday, tell me the month and the day. I don't need the year, and I don't need your birth time. So let me know who's here. I'm a Taurus, Capricorn rising. Birthday May 3rd, coming up very soon. And I'll be turning 59. And I'm going to celebrate big time. Watching movies, etc. Hi. We have a Gemini. Who else? What else do we have? What else? I mean, who else? What else? What other? Oh, 8/16. So we have a Leo. And 2/17 used to be my address when I was a kid. Kimberly is an Aquarian. And 217 Eastern Parkway, Newark, New Jersey. That's where I lived when I was a child. Okay, so I'm aligning my crystals. What do I have here today? Keeping me company. My dendrite. I always love Yvonne, 622. We have Cancer. We've got Gemini, another Gemini. So I have my dendrite. Look at all the little images. Isn't that cool? I can see faces and, I don't know, medieval, Middle Earth things. As a former resident of Middle Earth, I can tell you. Dean's here. He's a Cancer. And I have my selenite. There's selenite. I like to use the rocks and crystals and gems of the earth to help bring me into alignment. And so I will use many different forms of energy. And remember, when I use cards, like I call them my happy cards, whether you use tarot or, symbolic cards, or you make up your own system, or you use crystals, numbers, numerology, astrology, phrenology, study of the bumps on the head, reflexology, all the ologies, it just means the study of. And when you study yourself through these methods, you begin to access messages from beyond. Now, what does that mean? Well, it can mean something very literal, as in you have a loved one who's passed away, but their spirit is still very much alive, and so they contact you. And, oh, you know what? I'm going to turn on my mister because I want to. And they contact you. And sometimes you're looking for clarity. You're looking for healing. You're looking for information. You're looking for connection. You're looking for answers that you don't think you have. This is why we have each other. And whether or not it is the spirit world, animal world, the fairyland, the woodland creatures, people from beyond, ETs, aliens, your angels, guides, masters, it doesn't matter. That if you know that a being of light, an energy of light, is traveling to you, through you, in your dreams, through tarot readings, through messages, that you take the information not as the end-all be-all. First of all, you see what it represents. How do you feel with this information? Does it resonate? And if it doesn't, and you know for a fact, oh, this is not me, this is not true, then you walk away, ask for your money back, and walk away. Or if you're doing work on your own and you've got a pendulum and you're swinging, where's mine? This was made for me by a friend who now is a jewelry maker in New York City. Her name is Rena Staiano. Actually, that's not her married name, but so she made this for me. This has been my pendulum for 30 years. Yeah, about 30 years, maybe more. And so what I realize that when I use a pendulum, or when I use cards, or when I'm meditating, or when I'm automatic writing, journaling, no matter what method I am using, I don't adhere to one specific definition. I say, what is this meaning? And then I delve further into it. What else could it be? If you know intuitively that something is negative or not in your highest and best, then you know to put a boundary to it. Boundaries need to exist on every level of spiritual, physical manifestation, intellectual manifestation. So, go in with boundaries. I am protected by white light, and I only allow what is beneficial to enter my life right now. These are verbal boundaries. Somebody in the neighborhood in your world steps on your toes. You say, ouch. They say, I'm so sorry. You forgive. Okay. Somebody steps on your toes on purpose, and you say, ouch, and they don't say anything, or they refuse to communicate with you, or they step on your toes again, then boundaries are needed. Excuse me, I don't like the way you're treating me. That's not okay. Boundaries, right? Do we know what a boundary is, ladies and gentlemen, and beings of all genders? Do we know what a boundary is? A boundary is being able to get right with something that aligns with you and your business. And if someone crosses that boundary and steps over the line, you need to say something or act in a way that produces forgiveness, but with very firm parameters about what's okay and what's not okay. Now, if you cross the boundary into somebody else's world, you got to own it, right? You got to own it, ask for forgiveness from self and others, and choose to not repeat it the second time. So when I talk about messages from beyond, this is, common in my world. It's energy, it's dreams, it's whispers in my ear, it's symbolism. I see the same number over and over again. I stop and I resonate. What is that number to me? What does it mean to me? And what does it make me think of? So here's a good way to look at when you get information from the universe via symbolism, or in your dreams, or, in your dreams, pal. No. When you get a message and you're not sure why it keeps showing up, most likely it's because you're in your head and you've got a million other things to do that have nothing to do with your spiritual attainment, right? You've got laundry, you've got business, you've got bills to pay. I meant to vacuum the other day. Oops, I had company. I didn't even dust the living room. Whoops. Hope they didn't see that. But, it is what it is. But when you have symbolism come into your life, Carolyn 12:7, that's Sagittarius. Let's see if we can get everybody to represent the entire array of the astrological spectrum. Let's see if we can get that. Let's call them in. Who are we missing? Well, we've got a Taurus, a Cancer. We've got an Aquarian. We need a Pisces. We need a Pisces to show up. We've got a Leo. Let's see. We have a Gemini, another Gemini. And yeah, and I think I missed somebody up top. But anyway, wouldn't that be fun? We'll represent the entire constellation right here, right now. So when you're looking at symbolism and you're looking at the messages that you get from beyond, you may not automatically, have that big, oh my gosh, I had a big aha. It was the most amazing, or sometimes people have that. And, excuse me, and then that's it. That's all they see. That's all they know. You can't tell them otherwise. I knew someone who had a big aha through a specific energy treatment, and then it just woke them up. And they healed so much through it. And it's like, then they became a practitioner, and then that's what they were, and that's how they practiced for 20 years. But they didn't incorporate any other type of energy practice or healing or advancement. So you want to be careful of getting stuck in one way, all right, when messages show up. It's not just that thing. It can be a doorknob, the light switch to a thing that's even bigger. Does that make sense? So when messages from beyond come, first thing you want to do is check in and say, oh, well, that was fascinating. Let me write that down. The person said this in the reading, or I felt this amazing feeling, or I was so overwhelmed I cried. You know, when you have an emotional reaction, typically it's poking at a wound or something that speaks your truth, right? Other times, sometimes you don't know that you don't know. And so it's something you ponder and say, let me think about that. When somebody tells you something that you don't know about yourself, it's not in your awareness or your conscious awareness. It's like saying to someone, hey, you look like you want to move. You're sick of your town. You want to move. It's like, yeah. And they're thinking, you know, the next town, maybe a state or two over, and you say, why not move to New Zealand? Why not move to Germany? And they go, are you out of your mind? That's not even, how would I wouldn't know, you know, it's like the brick wall comes when there's no conscious awareness around a particular thought or topic. So this is why I say it's really important. My husband reads. He reads a lot. I read a lot of fiction. He reads a lot of nonfiction. And he's also now reading more fiction. He'll read a book and recommend, this was fascinating. So he's a lifelong learner. And he's always encouraging me, oh, take a look at this book. It might be for you. You might not like it. Maybe it's written for, you know, a part of the way you think, or maybe it can help to open your mind. So I will read some things, and sometimes I just don't get it. If it's a business-related thing, if it's financially related, I do my best to understand the concepts. And so that's how I look at it when someone comes to me or someone like me and wants to have a reading, because they think I'm going to tap them on the shoulder with my magic wand, boom, and, you know, all the crap in their life falls away. No, in fact, it gets bigger, because then you realize now you know something. So when I started to read Tony Robbins' book about money, I got halfway through it, literally halfway through, and I understood. And I thought, well, let me check his information against what we have financially, what we're doing financially, and with life insurance, et cetera, et cetera. And then my mind it froze, and I had to go to fiction. I had to find a fantasy world. I had to move on to a place that I was familiar with and comfortable. And then I come back to, you know, nonfiction world of learning and education. And it's the same for me as I think it is for people who are just waking up into a spiritual sense, into what they want. They attach to signs. So I want you to be very aware of them, but also very careful of not attaching. If something speaks your truth, great, go with it. Go forward with that. Go forth and multiply. Your conscious awareness times your compassion, boom, your life is beautiful. Okay, does that make sense? So when you start to get into a place where you're not 100% familiar with a topic, but yet it speaks to you, and you have an experience, write it down. What does it look like, feel like, smell like, taste like? What is the experience you're having with this information? So people in the beginning tend to call things weird. Like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. I had a dream about that shoe that you're wearing now. And, you know, I've never seen that shoe, but and you try to convince someone that it's profound, when what you're doing is convincing yourself that you actually just had a spiritual experience. Spiritual as in not religious, as in the spirit helps you wake up a little bit, body, mind, spirit, and you experience time differently. You experience your intuition differently, perhaps in a much more profound way. So making sense, right? So who here has been given a sign recently? Who here has had a dream, a feeling, an inclination, a hunch, that gut response? I'm not going to go down that street. I just not. Or if I sign up with that club, I know I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use that membership. I just know. How many people here have had that experience at all in their lives? Not just recently, but at all. Let me know. Share with us. Now we are on like a 7 to 10 second delay. So I say it, then there's a long pause before you actually hear me. And then there's another pause before I actually read your response. So, do, 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 do. This is not Jeopardy. There is no Jeopardy here. Only happiness and conscious awareness. And I'm going to pull a card. Happy card. Happy card for people. By the way, I have a screenshot to show you while you're listening to what I just said 20 seconds ago. Talk about moving through time. Isn't that wild? Today, Venus is in the sign of Aries for a couple of weeks. Wow. Now, if you were born with a Venus in Aries, you're high right now. And Mercury's in Aries as well. So you want to get going. You want to jump into bed with that new project, with that, inspiration, with that person, maybe. You want to be, to share your motivation and your unique and very spontaneous insight. Ooh, what a great card. Vibration. Vibration is exactly what we're talking about when I talk about messages from beyond. You know what I like in this drawing? This particular series of light orbs, how they get brighter and brighter as they come closer and into your awareness. Vibration is in everything. Now, first, it's in everything that lives. And then anything you touch that you would call inanimate, you give it your vibration. That's how psychometry was born. I can hold something, get the vibe on it, and think of your grandmother, or think, the first time I ever read my husband. No, not the first time. The second time, he was a friend, and he gave me a watch. I had no idea. Maybe you've heard the story if you've listened to me before. But he gave me a watch. It was just like this watch, nothing special. And he gave it to me, and I held it, and I just started laughing. And I said, "What is this watch? I'm so happy right now." And Dean smiled, and he said, he's a former stand-up comic, and he said he used to wear that watch on stage when he would do his routine. And so you have a vibration that you put into the world. Now, not just one. It's not like you wake up and you go, "Okay, my name is Jane, and this is my vibe." No. For everything you think, then compound that with a feeling that goes with it, with another thought, with an experience, with a reaction, with a response, and then on top of that, and on top of that, and on top of that, and pretty soon you're a matrix of vibration, okay? And that vibration gets put into the world. And I've been seeing, actually today was my last day, a physical therapist to clean out my lymph nodes. And what she said was, I said, "How are you today?" And she said, "I really like our conversations. And one thing I've noticed is that I've been very negative in my world. My husband and I were talking about it yesterday. I've been very negative, and I don't want to be that way anymore. I think I want to start meditating daily, and I want to be happier, and I just want to be." And I said, "Great, so you're going to change your vibe." And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Fantastic. Well, who wouldn't want to change their vibe?" See, Michelle Bueno, what a great long name. Hello, everyone. Birthday is 7/2 Cancer. So now we're represent Astrological Federation right here. I think I'm going to start a company called the Astro Federation of the Galaxy. And we will all be part of it. So when you put out a vibe that says, you're disappointed, you're excited, you're enthusiastic, you're bored, whatever your vibe is, you put that vibration into the world. You know this, right? Then what happens is you may just be thinking about your life, but that vibe that somebody else just put into the world passes right through you like an EMF wave. Sometimes it's jolting. Sometimes it's soothing. Sometimes it's scary. So, boundaries, right? I want you to wake up every morning and think, first thing. Well, if you're working on focusing on your dreams, Just gaze at the first thing you see. Close your eyes. Think about your dream. Open your eyes. Don't turn your body. Don't move your head. You gaze at the same thing that you've been looking at. It's the curtain. It's the corner of the pillow. It's the edge of the lamp. You gaze at it. Close your eyes. You're focused on your dreams. Bring that dream into clarity and then write it down. Then the very next thing is, I only allow what is beneficial to enter my life right now. That's your boundary for the world. You say it in your head. You say it out loud. It is said. What did Yul Brynner used to say? So it is written, so it shall be done. Anna and the King and I. Okay, so does this make sense? We also have a Libra in here. And who else? Come talk to me. Come fly with me. I have grounding stones that keep me here. This is a, well, it's polished, but it's a black tourmaline. It's really good for protection. So if you're going out into the world, also called Schorl, Schorl, if you're going out into the world and you want a little bit of protection from a large place, the train station, the crowded whatever, and you're a pretty sensitive person, so you can carry black tourmaline with you. Also hematite. Now, hematite is an ore, and you can get it in bracelet form or a ring, and it helps to keep extra vibes away from you. So that's always good to carry when you need that extra boundary so that you don't call in unwanted energies. Now, I know people who have, including myself, till I learned how to set boundaries energetically. I know people who have had not so great experiences with energy, like, I had a dream that something was chasing me, or, and a lot of times it might be a part of your fear that's emerging. And that's the message from beyond. Your psyche is trying to speak to you and say, you may not be happy in this relationship, and even your dream state, your higher self, different parts of your consciousness, awareness, your guides, your angels, the ETs, the planets, the rocks in the world, the fairies, whatever. They're all trying to speak to you and say, it's time to set a boundary. So think about that as you experience the next level of flow in your life. Right now, I'm going to show you a picture right now. How about I do that? Ta-da! This is a snapshot of today, April 22nd, 2019. Now, you may be listening to this in a replay, and maybe it's already tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, and you're listening to this. A lot of this information is evergreen. It's not just because the planets, are doing these things that it is this way, because the planets aren't making it happen. It is the minute by minute snapshot of planet Earth and its inhabitants. Yeah. So this applies to everybody on Earth. Isn't that wild? How do we justify that in our heads? Sometimes we think, well, how is that possible? 1029. So now we have a Scorpio. Hey, we're almost there. We almost have everybody. Who's not represented here right now? I don't know. I lost count. I lost track. Who's not here? So we have Uranus, which it's at the top of the screen. Looks like an H with a circle underneath, an H with a circle underneath. And Uranus represents your freedom. In the sign of Taurus, it represents value and security. So it's the same degree as the sun right now. So that means, let me just change this up. So when Uranus is traveling around in our constellations, through the constellation Taurus, but it's traveling around the sun, it's very close to the sun right now within, it's actually the same degree, 2 degrees. And so what does that mean? What it means is the sun sheds light. Uranus is about freedom. In the sign of Taurus, it is value. So if you value your freedom what's the topic? That's the focus. What's the topic? In your relationship, with your health, with the work that you're doing, with your spiritual method, with your purpose on earth, with your gardening, your food, if you value what's happening, great. If not, you're going to want to break free. And so a lot of people might feel the urge right now to bust a move. Other people, depending on where it is in your chart, are going to have this feeling. Remember, our card today was vibration, that they're jittery. They can't focus. They're just, they're in and out of their seats. They got to do something else. They got to get away. So that's their urge to purge for their freedom. Make sense? So this is going to be happening for a while this week. And then let me pull up that picture again. What else do we have? Venus is in Aries. Ooh, I'll jump into bed. That's what Venus in Aries wants to do. It's like, oh, be my new best friend. Hey, I'll jump into bed with that project, with that person, with that, whatever. But there's enthusiasm behind it. And it's not naive, but it's more trusting. It's more adventurous because Mercury is there as well. Now, it can mean there's too much information. You meet someone new and you go, oh my God, yesterday I had a hangnail, and before that I had the worst cramps, and then before that I had diarrhea. It's like, okay, it's a little TMI. I just met you. That's what I mean by jumping into bed. If you just meet someone or you're just starting something new, there's no need to dump it all on them in the first 10 minutes. You want to just take your time, but be inspired by the association, be inspired by the potential. Does that make sense? Thumbs up, hearts, something, let me know. I'm going in the right direction here. We are talking about, we have 5'11", another Taurus is here, Yvonne, whose daughter is a Taurus. And I tell people I'm just a tourist. I am. We are talking about messages from beyond. Where are you getting your messages? Who's getting messages? Is anybody having dreams of late? Is anyone, when I see Neptune is in Pisces, it's a natural placement, and Saturn is making a spiritual connection to Mercury. So right now, people are wanting to communicate more about the deeper stuff. So communicate, chat it up. Let me know what's going on. In the meantime, when you tell me, I had a dream, I had a gut feeling, I had some insight, I want you to look for symbolism in your world, because a lot of times that's how we see things or recognize things. Like we'll see the same numbers, or we'll have just read a book that's impacted us, and then we go to the dentist's office and somebody's sitting there reading that same book, and you go, wait, what are the odds? Right? And so what do you do with that information? A lot of times people go, what am I supposed to do with that? Excuse me. And you tap the person on the shoulder. I just read that book. How are you liking it? So maybe it's getting a different point of view. Maybe it's connecting with that person. Maybe it's just a reminder that that book that you just read is still resonating such a frequency with you that you're vibrating at a different level. And then maybe you see the author's name on another book at the next stop you make at the supermarket. So when you have symbolism come into your world, some people will call it random. Other people call it a coincident. My definition of coincident is when you have a need and the universe provides. That is a coincident. So that's how I look at it. So I want you to just take a look at how these things are moving in your life, and how messages from beyond can be very literal. You're not eating well and you have, you turn on the TV and it's a show about people who starve themselves. You're like, no, really? That's whack. Universe will get your attention. So just pay attention. That's all. So in the meantime, I'm giving Jupiter retrograde sessions throughout the next 2 months. These are and plus we're going to lead up to solar and lunar eclipses that are coming up in a few months. And these particular readings are an hour long. They're very profound. They're very deep. And I go back 24 years and then I go 12 years into the future so that we can see what's your trajectory, where are you going and why? Where would you like to go? What's stopping you? And if you're ready to let go of the thing that you think is holding you back, and most likely it's going to be what your thoughts are, because it's what you think that's holding you back. It's not what's actually holding you back. We're going to find that, and we're going to neutralize it and infuse you with some starseed, some fairy dust, and some very powerful tools that you can use to see practical results. So look for the blue link that says book now on a computer. I think on a phone or a tablet, you have to scroll down. Or Dean will also post a link right here in this chat section. Let's see. There it is. So I guess no one's wanting to share too much about messages from beyond, gut feelings that you get, symbolism that you've had, dreams perhaps, or someone just, you meet someone. Here's an example of a message from beyond. I was telling this story just yesterday to a new friend, and it was many years ago. I was at a warehouse. It was a Echo Bella was the makeup company, and when they first started, they started in a warehouse in New Jersey. And so I went looking for certain kinds of makeup, and I was going through a very tumultuous time in my life. I was split apart dream-wise, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. There was so much going on in my world. I couldn't make heads or tails. And yet I'm a very practical person. And I thought, well, I need to understand what this is. I don't understand. So I went to this place to get my makeup, my eyeliner, and my lipstick. And the woman behind it was like literally, it was a warehouse. And all you saw were racks of boxes. And she had a little desk. And she looked up at me, and she looked at me. And I told her what I wanted. She's like, okay. And she went to get it. She turned around and she looked at me again. And she said, okay, I'll be right back. And she went and she got my stuff. She put it on the counter and I paid for it. And she looked at me again. And I was like, okay. I said, do I know you? She said, no. But let me write this down. And she wrote down a person's name and phone number. And she said, you need to call this person. And I was like, okay. Thanks. So I went home and I put the name on my countertop, and it sat there for 6 months. I didn't throw it out, but I looked at it every single day. And then I started having dreams of a woman, middle-aged, kind of a round figure, short red hair. I kept having these conversations with this woman, and then one day I woke up and I had a terrible, terrible nightmare. I don't even remember what it was, but it was profound, how emotional I was. And I woke up crying, and I went into the kitchen. I thought, I don't know, I'm going crazy. Something's happening. So I picked up the phone and I called this woman. I said, I don't know you, but this woman, I bought makeup and she gave me your name. She goes, yeah. She goes, well, tell me about the dreams that you were having. So I did. And it's like one of those conversations you never think you would actually have with someone because you don't know this person, and yet blah. And I described the woman I had met. She goes, oh, you just described me. So why don't you come to my house? I live 20 minutes away from you. And I was like, what? And she validated that I was a trance channeler, and because she was one. And she told me I wasn't crazy and how to protect myself and how to blah, blah, blah. So it was like, okay, so information will come to you when you need it, but you need to be open to it and also not buy into that. I say healthy skepticism is always great, but be open to learning something new about your life and yourself. Unless you don't, what you see now, and if you look back 24 years, what you see, that's the next 24 years. Nothing much will change. Maybe the names will change. Maybe some of the places will change. You might get a couple extra experiences in there. But honestly, we have patterns that we live by because they make us feel safe. But you're not unsafe if you change those patterns. Does that make sense? I hope so. All right, I'm going to be back on Friday. And in the meantime, I want you to get really aware of the symbolism, the messages from beyond, the dreams, the connections, thinking about someone. I hadn't thought about that person in 57 minutes, 82 years, whatever it is. And then suddenly they friend you on Facebook. And you're like, what? Remember, Jupiter is retrograde. And the past comes back in any retrograde. My husband's already been notified by 3, not just 1, not just 2, but 3 in 1 week, comedians that he used to work with a long time ago. It was the same field, right? So it's not just 3 random people, but 3 comics found him. Interesting, huh? Yeah. So it's like that. So take note of the things that are coming back into your world, the dreams that you might be having, the gut feelings that you're having, the experiences that say you are more than you think you are because you are pure conscious love. Let's all snuggle down and watch a movie. All right, I'll be back Friday. Be sparkly, be well, be present. Thanks for stopping by.